This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
There we go.
What's good, Big O? I like that graphic.
You like it, huh? The Wolf Pack is loose. That's right, baby. How you doing, Cam? You doing good?
I'm good, man. Awesome. Living the dream out here in Nashville, getting ready for Thursday night. Heading out to the practice field in a couple hours or about an hour. Wanted to wrap with you some football before we got started. So,
all right. Just when you're there, just ask Tannehill, when does he plan on becoming a franchise quarterback? Okay.
I'm sure he would receive that very well, Big O.
Yeah. I want you know what? I don't know what's going on, and you might have a better connection. Have they come to the realization that it took people in Miami a while to kind of realize it too? By the way, I kind of knew it from day one, but that's another subject. But I'm saying everybody in Miami kind of realized that he's not the guy. So I'm wondering, the first couple of years were magical for him because he had the horse. The horse is no longer there, and he's kind of gotten exposed. So I wonder, what is the reaction now of media and locals in Tennessee with Tannehill?
Yeah, I think that you're seeing some of his limitations right now in Tennessee without Derrick Henry. I was looking at stats before, and his numbers are drastically different without Derrick Henry compared to with them. So, like you said, you look at the quarterback position, and there's really three types of quarterbacks. There's quarterbacks you can win because, there's quarterbacks you can win with, and there's quarterbacks that you win in spite of. And I view Tannehill more of the quarterback you can win with, not because you win because, so somewhere in that middle ground of quarterback. And when you don't have the running back like Derrick Henry, when you don't have the defense playing as well, then your weaknesses and your holes get exposed. So it's so hard in this league because there's just so few of those quarterbacks you win because, the elite quarterbacks, the ones everybody's chasing. So as a team, if you don't have one of those, you have to decide, hey, do I pay one of the guys in the middle area and say, hey, I'll just win with you and build around you? Or do I keep trying to take strikes in the draft every year and try to see if I can find that elite quarterback? And if you do, you're most likely going to be one of the worst teams in the league. So the Titans have just committed to Tannehill and just saying, hey, we're going to try to build around him and hope it's enough. They've been good. They haven't been great. So we'll see how they manage the rest of the year. They've got a really tough schedule the rest of the way. They got the 49ers this week, and then they have the Dolphins, towards the end of the season. So I think they're going to need to win at least one game to make sure they're fully in. They had a big division lead, but the Colts are coming up strong. So it's going to be interesting to see how Tannehill and the Titans play the rest of the way.
Yeah, right now the Colts are the better team right now, actually, the way they're playing. And it's weird because I'm not a believer in either guy as a passer. And I'm talking about Ryan, and I'm talking about Lamar Jackson. But if I'm stuck with either guy, believe it or not, I'm going to go Lamar, only because he has an elite trait that you can't coach. It's hard to match up against, and that's his legs. And he moves better than almost every running back that's ever even freaking played the game, dude. I mean, I got to go to Gale Sayers and Barry Sanders and I have to go to those freaks of all freaks, those really, really, really elite special runners that we've had only a few of those in the history of the game. And to get to where Lamar is at. And while I don't respect either guy as a passer, because I don't think either guy can bail you out with their arms when things go bad, but because of the limitations at times, I'd almost rather lean the Lamar way, because if the running game's going and he's part of it, you still can be effective enough that you can then build the passing game off of that.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. You have to have a superpower. We talked about this last week about Tua, and everybody's trying to wonder what's his physical superpower. Well, I think his superpower is accuracy in his mind, but everybody has to have something for you as a quarterback. And Lamar, I think that he's a good quarterback and he can pass. Like, I don't think he's a running back like a lot of people believe, but I do think that his superpower is his playmaking ability with his legs. That's what he does better than anybody else. Tannehill, you're still struggling to find. Like, I think the closest thing is maybe his ability off play action. He's really good at that. But a lot of that's based off having a running game. So, you know, that's an element that's hard to really pin down. And you asked me kind of what the narrative is. I'm gonna show you. I just got this newspaper in Tennessean right here in Tennessee. The slumping Titans starting to look like a losing team. That's the narrative here with Tannehill getting thrown an interception on the cover. So I do think that there is frustration that, you know, you pay a quarterback $30+ million and he can't really lift you to where you want to go. Now, they've had a lot of injuries. Derrick Henry's hurt. Julio Jones has been a bust throughout his trade's been a bust throughout the year. He's hurt.
Did they expect anything else?
They thought he was going to be a difference maker. No,
he is a difference maker, but he's a difference maker the few times he plays. But is anybody like Cam really? Are you shocked that this guy's always?
I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked. I mean, the thing about Julio Jones, he's 32 years old. His body's starting to break down. You know, when he was healthy and at his best, one of the top 3 receivers in the league. Now you're getting a little bit of the remnants of Julio Jones. But without him, A.J. Brown, who's one of the better young receivers in the league, he's been out for the last 3 weeks. So they've been trying to tread water, and it has not been pretty. I watched a lot of that game. They played the Steelers last week, and it was, man, if you want to see a show of some of the worst offenses in the league, you watch replays of that Titans Steelers game where you got Big Ben who can't move anymore and Tannehill without any weapons. That was rough.
Yeah. And you know, I compared Tannehill to actually with Ira earlier in the first hour with Duncan Robinson, because you gave Duncan Robinson $95 million and, you know, Bam's out and Butler's out and he's not stepping up. Meanwhile, I'm watching Gabe Vincent show me cojones that are bigger than the arena, and he's, you know, a street free agent that they're developing, and Max Strus, another street free agent that they find that is balling and showing me moxie in these moments, and I'm going, well, where's the $95 million player, bro? And in a way, that's what I think Titans fans have got to be feeling, going, okay, I get it, there's some things out, but dude, you're the quarterback, you're supposedly we're paying you like a franchise guy. You know, it's your job to elevate people at times. You know what I mean? And you don't see that. And so I was wondering if the tables are turning on him there. So it looks like that is changing. So there. All right. So what'd you think Dolphins wise? Signing Duke? Do you is it real or is it Memorex for you? Because I've kind of been going back and forth with the Dolphin Nation and / Kane's Dolphin Nation fan and all that, and it's like I'm trying to temper their enthusiasm because they almost think that it's the second coming, and it's like, you know, he's never done this. He's been a pass catcher his whole life. Wherever he's been, they don't really look at him as an every down runner. So he got his moment, and he had one shining moment. Is it an aberration, or do you think it's something they can actually build on?
Now, Big O, I heard you and Omar with this. You guys are talking about this a little bit. I'm guessing you think it's more of a one-time thing. You don't think that this has any lasting appearance. No, so I'm going to be the optimist.
I hope I'm wrong.
I'm going to be the optimist here. Duke Johnson's looked better than any Dolphins running back they've had all year.
Yes.
No doubt. And I think what's exciting about him is that the offensive line is still bad, but he's maximizing that group by being able to run inside the tackle consistently. A lot of times he was pigeonholed early in his career as a passing catching back when he was in Cleveland, but you're seeing him as a physical runner. I don't know that he's going to be your running back of the future. Like if you're looking, hey, we're going to have Duke Johnson, he's going to be the guy for the next 5 years. I don't know that, but I think that you can look at this guy and say, hey, why not ride this like Myles Gaskin was last year? He was the guy where he was the best player on that offense last year. You rode him, you maximized it, and you figure out when it runs out, it runs out. You know you're running a little bit on something that's, you know, probably a short-term deal, but I don't think it's just a one-game deal. I think that you look at what Duke Johnson brings to this team. You're not predictable when he's on the field. A lot of times with the backs they have, you know when they're receiving the ball versus running the ball. They have their skill set. Malcolm Brown's in the game. You know he's not catching the rock. He's running it up the middle for a two-yard game. That's his game. Ahmed's in the game. He's probably catching the ball. These are really their limitations. So I like the fact that Duke Johnson creates some versatility, and he seems to have some chemistry already with Tua. And it's dope that he's a Miami kid. You know, a lot of times I don't get caught up in the fun stories.
Hearing the Duke chants.
Hearing the Duke chants, like dude shows up for his first game and he's already a fan favorite. So I'm a fan of the Duke trade. I think that they really needed somebody in that backfield that teams can respect, and I think Duke Johnson has their respect.
I'm a fan too. I'm just gonna stay in the realistic mode because I've never seen him do this at this level. Because nobody ever gives him that opportunity ever. And whether it's Isaiah Crowell that he couldn't beat out, hell, 1 year Deshaun Kaiser outrushed him. You know what I'm saying? And then after that came in Chubb and the Ohio State kid, what's it called? I forgot his name now. But those two guys obviously are much better backs than Isaiah Crowell.
Carlos Hyde, probably, yeah.
And then Duke was never going to get in there at all. Carlos Hyde. So Duke was never going to get in there. And now here, and he has that one game. If he does it over the next couple of weeks, then I'll give in and say I was wrong. He's able to do it. You know what I'm saying? But I need to see it over the next couple of weeks because they played against a really bad team.
And I'll tell you what, this Saints team they're playing, we still got, I guess, week 15 games still on because we got games tonight. But if we look ahead to week 16, the Dolphins playing the Saints, I think, have the number 1 or number 2 run defense in the league. So that's going to be a test. Maybe you're right, Big O. Maybe we come back here next week and Duke Johnson ran for 29 yards and you're telling me you told me so.
Yeah.
But, we'll see. This is a very good challenge for them. I think they, the offensive line's obviously not going to be in good shape to win this battle, but if Duke Johnson can get them some creases, pop out some gains, I think it can help this offense be at least not one-dimensional. I don't like to see Tua drop back and throw 50 times because that gives them more chance to get killed behind this O-line. So,
the twist of this game, Cam, is that they need Duke to run or anybody to run because if you're going to free up Davenport and Jordan, you're screwed.
Exactly.
You're screwed. You cannot have Tua drop back 40 times and give Davenport and Cam a whole bunch of opportunities at Tua because they're going to get there several times. You know what I mean?
Indeed.
So actually, to slow those dudes down, if they don't run the ball, that's going to be catastrophic in this game on Monday night.
Yep. That's the key. That's the key for me, Big O. It's going to be a really interesting end stretch because I'm going to be the realist here. We're going to change roles for a second. The Dolphins have been on this 6-game winning streak, right? And they have done what a lot of people didn't think. Now they're back in the playoff mix. They've got a chance. I think if they win out, they're in pretty good chance to make the playoffs. But this is the stretch that we're going to truly find out about this team. You're not playing the Jets, the Giants anymore. You're not playing a lot of these teams that are out of the playoff hunt. You're playing the Saints, who just came off a really good win against the Bucs. They're playing off for playoff positioning. They're right now competing for that last spot in the NFC. Then you got the Titans, who, if they lose this Thursday, they might have to be fighting to secure their own playoff spot. And then you finish with the Patriots, who, although they got exposed, and I think they showed you a little bit of calm down the Mac Jones, calm down the Patriot hype train, but they're still a good team. That's 3 good teams that have the chance or a good chance to be in the playoffs that you're going to have to probably beat to make it to the playoffs. So I don't know if they'll do it, but we'll learn a lot about where this Dolphins team at this point is starting Monday night.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt because, what I was saying before you came on was that I don't fear any of the 3 quarterbacks they're facing.
Right.
But I respect the hell out of all 3 coaches, and I have immense respect for all 3 defenses that you're facing. And so that's going to be the real test for Miami because I get it. You're not facing scary quarterbacks, but you're still facing some teams that can cause
pretty good coaches.
Yeah, pretty damn good coaches and defenses that can cause problems for your major weakness, which is your offense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's the problem there. You know what I mean? If the defenses were like what I looked at as their quarterbacks, then I would feel really good about this stretch, actually. I would say, okay, you know what I mean? But this is going to be a hell of a challenge for this Dolphin offense because they're facing 3 bitches of defenses. And those defenses are going to make life easier on those quarterbacks that I don't respect.
Right. And if you could just look at kind of what Vegas thinks of this game, I think the spread's already Saints by 3, Saints by 3.5 in that game. So there's at least an opinion in Vegas that the Saints are equal or a little better than the Dolphins. So they're going to have to pull some quote unquote upsets to be able to get here. I mean, they've been impressive winning these last 6 games. I would have never pictured they have a chance to break 500. But now that they're here everybody's talking playoffs, and they can't disappoint Dolphins fans once again, can they?
No. Let's hope not, my brother. Let's hope not. All right, so Will Fuller out for the year. He gets the award for stealing money without a gun and a mask in the NFL, right, this year?
Ski mask season for Will Fuller. You came into the bank with the full mask on, and here's what I will say. I will say this. I know Will Fuller has been got a lot of shit from Dolphins fan. A lot of it's worthwhile, but I did hear that his finger injury was shattered. You could say, hey, he could have played through it or whatnot. I heard it was shattered. Now, how hard did he try to come back? What his rehab was like. I don't know that element of it, but it was a real injury when he first suffered it. That being said, this is a guy you paid $10 million guaranteed. He was supposed to be, we talked all off season about getting weapons for Tua. He was one of those main weapons. He had 4 catches for 26 yards his whole Dolphins career. I don't think there's any chance he's coming back. I'm calling this the end of his Dolphins career. 4 catches, 26 yards, $2.5 million a catch. Man, that's a nice life if you can get it.
Oh, hell yeah. But Cam, where he deserves a ton of criticism is, and I think what frustrates everybody is, it's not so much from the moment you shattered your finger on, it's what happened before you shattered your finger. That you never were really an impact. You weren't on the field enough.
Right.
You even had to take time away.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I get it. We're supposed to be so much more sensitive and understanding in this world and all that kind of stuff. Dude, this is pro football. They're paying you $10 million. There ain't no time. Take your time off in the off season, bro.
Right.
Let's go man up and put your big boy pants on. And I think that's where it piles on Will Fuller, because if Will Fuller was balling, and then he shatters his finger, I think people can live with it, live with the frustrations of it. But the problem is they never thought he was truly committed from the get-go.
And that's the thing, Big O. Let's be real with it. I don't know that it's true, but there's always going to be the thought that this guy's coming from the Texans. He played with Deshaun Watson. That's one of his closest friends. There's always a thought he only came here because he wanted to play with Deshaun. Now, I haven't heard anything to say that, but there's always going to be the thought of that, particularly like you said, he hasn't been able to stay healthy. He's been hurting. He hasn't come back. And it was even, you talk about the start of the season, it was even in training camp. He wasn't on the field much in training camp.
That's my
point. He didn't show up most of the offseason program. Is voluntary, but he didn't show up most of the offseason program, and he shows up for training camp and he's hurt for some of the time. So this has to go down as one of the most disappointing free agent signings in almost a decade. I mean, the only positive there is that it's a 1-year deal and you got an easy out. So you're not paying any money going into next year, but good Lord, that it's just been a disaster. The Dolphins were already taking somewhat of a risk. You're betting on a guy who's getting hurt a lot in his career, coming off PD suspension. There's definitely sort of red flags, but I don't think they pictured it was going to be this bad.
Cam, this past week, the ultimate respect was shown for Javon Holland.
Yep.
You had a quarterback and a young quarterback that looks like he's 16 years old when he takes off his helmet with the New York Jets. And you would figure with the blitz happy defense that the Dolphins are and have been, that they were going to unleash a lot of that on the kid and fluster him and maybe even force him into mistakes. Without Holland in there, they did not blitz as much, even though they praised Nick Needham and all that. They still did not put all that weight of responsibility on him. And to me, that says a lot about Javon Holland. That as a rookie, they said, we're gonna hold back a little bit. We got an opponent that we can do that. We feel, and we could get by. We don't have to attack them so much. I think this week against Taysom Hill, I think you're going to see a little bit more attacking when Javon Holland is back.
Absolutely. I think Javon Holland, man, it's been fun to watch this kid. I'll be honest with you, Big O. One of my biggest criticisms with Flo was the Minkah Fitzpatrick trade. It bothered me for a year or two, the fact they couldn't make it work. This guy's a Pro Bowl safety. They couldn't put him at free safety. But Javon Holland has done his best to try to fix that issue. He's not Minkah yet, but I think he's going to be soon, within the next year, one of the best young safeties in the league. And I think that he has that type of playmaking ability. He has that type of leadership ability and versatility. They always talk about versatility from that spot. You watch him as a blitzer. You watch him as a free guy running over the top, roaming, having that range to be able to make plays, and then also being the guy who can communicate. Like being a rookie at that free safety spot. Like, let me tell you, Big O, Flo is a safeties coach at heart. So I've had conversations with him where he's like, hey, the safety position, that's my quarterback position of that defense. So I can't have a guy who's shy in there, not talking. So for him to be able to lead guys like a Xavien Howard, who's, all pro, Byron Jones, guys who've been veterans in this league for a while, and to be able to do that, I'm very impressed. Jaylen Waddle's the star of this class, and he's been able to do a lot. But I'd argue Javon Holland's right next to him, neck to neck, as the most impressive rookie on this team.
Well, the key is actually both guys are the most important players on each side of the ball.
Yep.
Actually, I know X has had some plays and all that, but Javon Holland to me has been way more consistent than X has, actually, to be honest.
I don't know about that, Big O, but I think
yeah. Javon Holland would have knocked Braxton Berrios into next week at the 2-yard line. X decided to take a business decision and not hit a 170-pound guy.
Right, but they got different games, man. X is your playmaker.
You gotta hit him, bro. You gotta hit him there, bro. You gotta hit him.
X, they don't pay him. They don't pay him for hits. They pay him for interceptions.
It's a 170-pound guy. You gotta hit his ass.
I understand. I'm with you, but they pay X for interceptions.
Yeah, I'm not. No. They pay you to play the game of football. You gotta hit his ass there, dude. You might have been able to force a fumble or something, man. Come on.
I hear you.
You gotta knock his pecker into his sock, bro. You kidding me? Man, I didn't like that. He's made too many of those business. He did that against the Jags and Leonard Fournette at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
And you don't want to hit Leonard Fournette. Okay, well, then he didn't want to hit Braxton Berrios? Come on, dude. Give me a break.
I think you got to give cornerbacks, particularly lighter cornerbacks, a break. That when they're trying to get off blocks, they're trying to find ways to make tackles.
So they're not all Rod Woodson. So they're not all Rod Woodson, is what
they're not all Rod Woodson. Yes, exactly. I mean, heck, Asante Samuel made a great career out of avoiding tackles, and I think X is a better tackler than a lot of these guys are. So no, he's not going, be a all-pro tackler. But I don't think I give X much shit for how he.
I do for not hitting Braxton Berrios. Come on, come on, man! You got to knock the crap out of his ass is what you need to do right there, and then try to jar that ball. Which, by the way, he's good at trying to jar the damn ball loose.
Right. He forces a lot of fumbles, so you can't act like he doesn't get in the mix and get stuff. It's just
you had a chance there, bro. You had all the momentum. You were coming from his blind side. You could have rocked his world with that opportunity right there. And he said, let me save my shoulder so I can ask for more money once the offseason starts.
Hey, if I'm the best player on my team, I make the plays that matter. If we're talking about X because he's a great tackler, then he's not doing his job. We need to talk about X because he's forcing turnovers, which he's done a lot this year. So I'm not going to give him cornerbacks who are good at tackling. That means they're not as good at their job because they're always making tackles instead of making pass breakups and interceptions.
By the way, I am more impressed. Well, I was depressed, of course, with the whole Flo and Minka thing, but I was more impressed that the front office drafts Minka and then replaces him with Javon Holland.
Yeah.
That's you drafted two of the best young safeties in the NFL in the last couple of years.
They might not hit on offensive linemen, but they can hit on some DBs, man.
I'm not convinced all 5 linemen are bad. I'm convinced that the coaching is absolutely that Pepe Le Pew does not know how to coach. Okay. Gotcha. That's what I call Jean-Pierre, Pepe Le Pew. Because his coaching stinks, and that's Pepe Le Pew is a famous skunk. So now you tie the whole thing there. So Pepe Le Pew's coaching is so terrible. I'm watching the front office hit on most of their draft picks. The only 2 guys that we don't know about, they don't play, Hunter and Iggy, because they got people in front of them. But everybody else is hitting, and the only thing hitting is not the line. Mm-hmm. So that tells me that the coaching stinks because out of those 5 guys, Cam, I will bet that at least 2 to 3 of those guys are good, and they'll turn into. I'm not telling you Pro Bowlers or Hall of Famers, right? But I'm telling you, I bet you 2 or 3 of those guys turn out to be good players.
Yeah, I think Rob Hunt is going to be a very good offensive lineman.
I think Eichenberg has a future too, dude.
Yeah, I think you give Eichenberg time, he's got a shot too. We'll see what Austin Jackson.
Dieter might end up being a center, man.
I don't know about that one. I don't know about that one. I think they need to find a new center, but
but maybe a guard. But he hasn't played bad.
Yeah,
he hasn't been terrible. Like he hasn't been Austin Jackson like. And by the way, Austin Jackson had his best week this past week.
Right. He is starting to get the guard thing down. He's trying to become a competent guard. We'll see.
When I saw him take that guy all the way across the line, I was, holy crap, dude.
Yeah.
Like that was mean. That was nasty. I was like, okay, that's the kind of lineman I like right there. I don't know if he'll turn into a good lineman, but he had his moments. Again, now it's the Jets. So, now we'll see this next 3 weeks. It'll be a nice test for all of these guys, especially against New Orleans. The tackles, oh my Lord, they're going to be tested. They're going to be tested big time. One more thing, getting Waddle back. I think that settles everything now, right? Because it's not so much that Tua was off this week, which he was off this week.
Yep.
But the other thing is that I noticed, Cam, nobody gets separation.
Mm-hmm.
So he's throwing in the tightest windows possible all the freaking time. The only guy that constantly can get separation is Jaylen Waddle. Right. And so that kind of settles it, that when he doesn't have this, it leads to the other options better, because not only is your number one corner worried about Waddle, but safety, the other one of the safeties has got their eyes, at least half an eye on Waddle, worried about him. Last week, there was really no concern like that. So you can kind of match up with guys and take Gesicki out. This week, getting Waddle back, do you believe it kind of settles things out a little bit more?
Yeah, I think so. I think you look at where they are, just being frank, they've got when healthy, 2 starting caliber receivers in Jaylen Waddle and Devontae Parker. When you lose one, you just got one, and they can avoid the other guy on the other side of the field, whether that's, Mac Hollins is good at spurts, but they haven't played him a lot. And they play Albert Wilson, they play some of these other guys, and these guys haven't proven anything so that corners can play them honest. So I think Jaylen Waddle is the engine that makes this offense go. Not only because of his speed and his playmaking ability, but because of trust. There's not a receiver, and you usually don't see that from the smaller speed receivers, that your quarterback trusts you in those key third down situations. Like him and Gesicki are his 2 go-to receivers. 3rd and 8, he trusted to go over the middle of the field and hit Jaylen Waddle. And that's something that I think separates your speed receivers from your true number 1 receivers, which I think Jaylen Waddle is and is going to be for a long time here. So I think that you're right. That is one of Tua's elements of his game where people may criticize him about, but his game is more predicated on guys who get open. Separation is important for him. There's some guys like Fitz was here and he didn't need any separation. He would just throw those 50-50 balls. Sometimes they catch him, sometimes they didn't, but that was his game. Tua's a precision accurate guy, and that comes with guys being open. So I think that you're gonna look at that element of it. Tua's trying to get better, and he has got better on the tight window throws, but I think that Jaylen Waddle adds an element to the offense where he doesn't always have to force it to a tight window for him to make a big play.
What do you think about all this COVID situation now, dude? Are we going to be able to finish the season? The NFL is going to do everything impossible to play these damn games because we got 2 Tuesday games going on. But what are teams doing to try to, minimize this? Because it's really hard. Guys are going to have to stay away from the streets, man.
Yeah. Oh man, you're seeing a lot of teams go virtual. In a lot of their programs, like the Dolphins, for example, they're no longer having post-game in-person media access. It's going to be on Zoom throughout the rest of the year. So although the media, we're not at fault. There hasn't been any cases I know of where the media is passing the COVID to players, but that's the first thing that you do to try to cut off access, to be able to cut off any potential spreading. So that's already happening. I'm about to go out there to Tennessee. They do all of their availability outside, and everybody's going to be required to wear a mask. So they're trying to do everything to the next step What's going to be really interesting is this Christmas period, because holidays is when it happens the most. You're going around other people. Players can be as healthy as they and careful as they want, but if you go around your cousin, your auntie, your uncle who've been out in the streets doing whatever, they're going to pass you to COVID. So you can't tell guys who are, if they're off that weekend, not to go hang with their family. So that's the element that I think is going to be really interesting. And the new rules that have come about, they're not testing asymptomatic vaccinated people on a regular basis. They're doing it in sort of a TSA pre-check kind of scattered direction where it's random, right? So you're going to have a lot more guys who are technically COVID positive, but just aren't getting tested. So I think that's going to increase. Their goal is to have less players be out for a period of time. But I think what's going to happen is there's more of a spread, because you're not going to know for a period of time. Most of these guys are vaccinated. So if they're not showing symptoms, you're going to have all these spreads, and all of a sudden you're going to have an outbreak, and you're like, how do we have 15 guys testing positive? Because you had one guy who was COVID positive and been in the building for a week because you didn't test them. So I think they're trying their best to keep the season churning, but it's going to be interesting. One thing I am going to watch is how much this impacts some of those off-season draft events. Last year we saw things shut down as far as pro days, as far as like teams being able to visit with prospects, visit to their facilities, the combine, the Senior Bowl, all these events that we love.
Don't take the draft away from Vegas.
I know we can't do it. We need an in-person draft, but it's going to be interesting to watch, because I don't think the worst has hit yet.
No, you're right about that. That's the sad part. That thing is still floating around, and they should, in a $1 billion organization like that, they should be testing everyone every day and should be taking every precaution possible. This random crap, this is why they're setting themselves up this way. So not a good idea, but it is what it is. All right, Cam, enjoy yourself out there in Tennessee, my brother. Enjoy the barbecue. We'll see you back here in South Florida. We'll talk to you later in the week, my friend. Appreciate
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, Big O.
You got it. There you go. That is Cameron Wolfe, baby, and our Fort Lauderdale Police Department, NFL, and Miami Dolphins Insider Report.